Welcome back to the Conversion Show. Today, I have a special guest that I think anyone going into this holiday season is going to be very excited about. With me today is Alex Courselle, who has 10 plus years in CRO and is founder CEO of Carl Mission. So if you're in front of a computer, check out carlmission.com. You'll get the whole breakdown. But welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me. That's really cool.
So for today's show, it is November 6th. And, everyone's gearing up, has been gearing up. They've hit play. Everyone's getting their, all their, everyone already started their cyber sales because, it's not just one day anymore. We're all getting the emails. But, there's still more to be done. Every website can always be optimized. Campaigns can always be updated. So today, what we're going to do for our listeners is really hear, with Alex's experience, what's trending, what is top of mind with CRO today, and see if we can't get some insights that maybe you can still apply to your sites for this holiday season. So with that, I'm putting you on the spot right off the bat, Alex. But before we do that, let's set the stage for your background. 10 years in CRO. It's very rare for us to come across talent and experience like yours. So could you just share with the crowd what you're doing at Carl Mission and how you got there?
Yeah, for sure. So basically I started in design, then I went into SEO. I stayed in that cluster of like digital marketing kind of roles up to the time I was production director. And then our company, I started being bought by Densuregis Media at the time by a prospect. And then the option was open to do whatever. So I just decided to start into CRO. It was back in Paris in iProspect. And very interesting because at the time, there's not much products. And people don't understand it as well. So it needs to be, easy to understand for everyone. So I had to create the packages and everything. So I really started from scratch, my whole experience. Didn't really have any like much guidance or anything. So it was a bit the Western at the time. I felt like, the field was empty, the street was empty, no building, nothing. We just had like Optimizely as a tool. A bit of A/B Tasty started to show up at that time. But it was like, Clicktail, Crazy Egg, Oja. That was the tools was already there, since that time. And I worked in agencies for like my whole life, my whole career. So it came to a point that I was like, okay, I'm gonna open my own business. We're gonna do mainly CRO because that's the product that I care the most with SEO, but because both of them clash, and that happens quite a lot in agencies. So it's quite interesting. We can talk about it a bit later. But it clashed between the two units quite often. And then yeah, my agency and the value that we wanted is to really be genuine and work with people that have genuine products, genuine services, genuine businesses. And we wanted to not be rich, but just, like change a bit the face of the world when it comes to CRO. I always explain to the newbies that you have powers. You can decide to use them for the good or the bad and decide for what you want to use your skills, your craft, at the end of your career, what will stand out, Is it helping some nonprofit organization or anything? Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so that's where we went, and since then we've been really meeting the right genuine people that we can work on the long run. That's what is good as well to work with genuine people is we have way longer contracts, way longer commitments. Our agency has no contracts, so people can actually stop when they want. It's plug and play, no knife under the throat with a 3 months notice or anything. We just keep it cash and we just make it as genuine as possible.
You mentioned, who you work with is critical, and what is the DNA of these successful clients you work with that understand the value that CRO is bringing to them?
I think it's to start with, the clients are quite aware of what CRO is. So people that have like that education, they've been, the other thing is I feel like there's two things happening on the market. There's some people that just learn about CRO and learn how to use it. Some people think it's just like, tips and tricks around there. Some understand that there's a science behind. So people that understand the science behind, those guys are going to win because they're going to cover all their basics, which is quite important. They're going to have a real tracking plan. They're going to really track their data. They have real numbers like they can improve. That's the first step. And when it comes to the second step is I feel like they actually care. They care about making their customer experience better. And what was customer service 20 years ago? Now it's user experience. That's a bit how I would do an analogy about it. It's like if you don't invest in your user experience, you're gonna have more to pay on your customer service. Like we have airlines company that ask us to do CRO for them to decrease the number of calls on their call center. And that makes sense because we actually, we just look at like the top 20, top 50 queries that we're getting from the call centers and we put them on the FAQs, right? Like very simple type of process, but it saves a lot of time to everyone, especially to the users that can find these answers really quickly.
Well, our belief is that the foundation of great conversion is incredible customer experience. So, it's often working with brands that are customer centric. In the end, the results are going to fall out from trying to figure out how to create an incredible experience, like you mentioned. It's those little low hanging fruits.
Yeah, for sure. For us as well, like one of the things that I focus the most on, and some people will find it quite annoying when I say that, but I really focus above the fold strategy. Like what people can see. I can see so far attention span on desktop is like 3 to 5 seconds. On mobile, it can even be less. If you don't have a strategy above the fold and people don't understand what you're doing, what you're about, your trust elements or how you're going to tell your stories, and you didn't have like a proper thinking about how you're going to roll it out, then you're going to miss out. So if you're unlucky and you've been spending some ads at the same time, it's really too bad.
So between science and care, the care is the clear, obvious one of you have to be customer centric and have head just constantly thinking about how to make the customer experience better. So to make that happen, you have to have a science behind it. Can you share more of your model with the science side of it?
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to the science, I'm very old school. So like everyone in the team knows, like I've been training everyone for quite a while. Mac been in the business with me for 8 years. And she's my number 2 there. And basically what is interesting is I ask them to always cover the basics. So always to go through Google Analytics, to check the data. For me, it's very important that I know the numbers better than my clients know their numbers, because then we can have real conversations, because now we're on the same standing point where I understand your product, I understand your problems.
So what numbers do you start with? What are your foundational numbers?
It's quite interesting there. It will really depend on what type of website. So if it's like e-commerce, it would be, I don't know, bounce rate. I would look at, but now bounce rate disappeared because now we're on GA4, so it will be engagement, I guess. I would look at, the price, like the average basket. I would look at the number of conversions for sure, so conversion rates. I would look at the overall traffic. But what I'm curious about is the first thing that I always look at is the low-hanging fruit, as you said. So for me, the bounce rate and people that don't engage, I always try to understand why they don't engage. And if I can solve that issue, if you have 80% conversion rate on your product page, you reduce it to 40, for sure, you get a massive impact on your sales, and you didn't do much. You just make sure that people engage with the page more. So that's the first numbers that I would look at. I like to look as well at the demographics, and coming back to where is the gap between desktop and mobile? Do I have like a massive gap between people that order on mobile and desktop? That means that maybe the experience on mobile needs to be improved because it's like minus 50% compared to desktop. There's a lot of things like that can come up. So I like to open Google Analytics and tell the story and go through it. But one of the other thing that I do at the back of my head as well is to make sure that when the client persona is unclear or they have none, then I actually come up with a clear picture of like, this is where your persona are right now. This is the edge they have. This is who they are. This is what type of jobs they do. Like, persona is one of the basics that companies now let go sometimes. I feel that I'm quite curious to
I'm
have you.
sorry, who did they let go first?
Oh, the persona, creating the persona, creating the right audience for your business.
Persona,
Yeah,
your
making sure.
conversion journey that you speak of
Yeah,
on the
exactly,
site.
exactly. Like that's the people we talk to. So if we don't know them, how can we talk to them the right way?
1000%. And that is, that's the type of thing that when it comes to audiences and, Shopify is launching their visitor API. They're doing a lot with segments. Like everyone's trying to understand who the actual website visitor is and then speak to them with irrelevant content. That's what personalization is. And digital marketers have nailed that with offsite, with marketing, with email, paid, but we're just now getting into the on-site experience with users.
It's interesting because we work with very big companies and some of them has no persona, or they have half of it, or they did it like 5 years ago and they never updated it. Like, I'm not saying you need to spend every day of the week on your persona. I'm just saying they just need to be solid enough that you know who you talk to. Like, what are they looking for? What will make them stay on the website or click somewhere?
The, you know, when you're talking about whether it's lead capture, AOV, sales conversion, I think one of the biggest personas overlooked is new visitor versus repeat visitor. And that repeat visitor is either a repeat non-customer or customer. Those three buckets, if you focus on those, you can really start digging in and making a big impact.
I wonder if we can still do that now with GA4. I wonder because now the new visitors, we don't keep the IP for too long. So they consider new visitors even if they're not after a while. So that's something that might change now with GA4. I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. We're still like deliberating with the team how we're gonna go through those reports with GA4 now that we have way less data than before.
That'll be an interesting one to track how they change that because, with CRMs and everything, how we're building our own profiles and filling them. What can you speak further on that?
When it comes to CRM, we've been working a lot with like the major tools on the market, and it's been very interesting because each business is different. So depending on what they catch and where the catch is, we've been able to do some really, really like, I would say good magic on that. It's like was linking the marketing with the CRM team and making sure that we actually understand who they are. We understand one of the main things that we figured is when we make sure that the storytelling is at the right time, at the right pace, with the right information, to not overload people. Because when your product is complicated like CRO, or when your product is complicated like a car, it's really easy to get people lost into like so many choices and so many messages, but it doesn't bring them like anywhere. So it's to like break down this information and slice it to basically give it at the right time on the right triggers.
Speaking of the right time, right customer, it's definitely we're hearing that a lot in conversations. You mentioned desktop and mobile. I'd love to hear more about how you're approaching that because we're seeing some clients with 70% of their traffic's mobile. Obviously, conversion rates are differ between desktop and mobile, but even myself, I found myself making, I made some big purchases this past weekend just while still in bed. A matter of a few clicks, and I finally got some things done that I wanted to without ever getting out of bed. 100% mobile. What are you seeing with clients, and is there anything that the audience should be looking at when it comes to their mobile specifically?
I would go to Ojar and I would go on Ojar, I would go on analytics, and I would look at the gap between mobile and desktop, and I would try to understand like one, where is the average fold? and and where people stop scrolling, because on Ojar I would have that, for example, Ojar or any other tool. We use Glassbox a lot as well. Um, and basically, yeah, I would look at, what's the customer journey look like? Where do they stop and where do they like attention stop as well, to understand where they drop off. And from there, it's interesting to see as well, like, we have some clients where the messaging, again, I will come back to that strategy, is like, we should have strategies that are based on attention span, because attention span is the big handbrake that we have. It's like, it doesn't matter how beautiful your website is, if no one goes past the fold, you're just doing your website for maybe like 20% of the users that will land on it. So it's awesome, but it's maybe not what we want to do. So I don't want to overcrowd as well that space, but having a strategy above the fold is the most important thing that I would recommend.
Attention span. I like that view on it, because everyone is all over the place. And that's where even conversion comes in so much critical. I was having a conversation recently with the Shopify team. No, it was with Alan Burt from Blue Stout, about product recommendation and product upsell, and whether or not offering an upsell might distract your visitor to the point where they don't check out. So where is the diminishing returns of trying to increase AOV with a product recommendation or upsell? Because if you say, hey, would you also like this? You then are sending them down a further conversion journey versus getting them to check out. Have you experienced that? Have you looked at that?
Yeah, for sure. We experience it all the time for those. And it's quite interesting, because I think if you buy wallpaper, you want to buy the glue that goes with it. Or like, you maybe want to buy the table, or you want to buy, like, the brush that you're going to need to put the glue on the back of the wallpaper. But if you buy a TV, you might not need to buy a chair. And that's where it needs to be a bit smart. And so far, to be honest, there's a lot of things that comes from gut feelings, but the best way is always to A/B test it, and to see, like, surely if you have different like categories of products and they combine each other, that's awesome. Then yes, you should definitely try to do that, because it's an upsell and it's really easy to like trigger it. But if they have nothing in common, like, they have really nothing in common, then maybe you should think about it twice, or understand, like, look at in the CRM, who are the people that have been doing those purchases together, to understand if they have any things in common to actually tell a story. So if that happen again, then you will push the right product at the right time to that customer.
So stepping back to the mobile, talking about scrolling times and different opportunities to really increase conversion rate. Can you share any kind of projects you've worked on recently where you looked at mobile and found some low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, for sure. It happens all the time. The like, let me find like a cool example that we had.
I'm putting you on the spot too, by the way.
No, that's awesome. I don't mind it. We work for an insurance website, and that insurance website was definitely like having good traction on desktop, but not as well on mobile. And what we figured is, like, they broke down the information so like randomly on the page, that people was not scrolling that far down to actually get those info. And that was the first thing. Another thing that we figured as well on mobile is, the page speed is very important, like how fast they will load and what you're gonna put. And another thing that we like doing that been really successful is to add video explainers. Video explainers with illustrated or not illustrated, they need to look genuine. So we need to feel that emotional connection, like, oh, this is cool, oh, this is branded, that's their tone of voice, like, it needs to look like you, right? Genuinely. But a video will break down a lot of information for the users really quickly and pass it away within 30 seconds. And we do a lot of those, and that increases a lot the conversions on mobile, definitely.
So I'm a huge proponent of video. And, when you look at the user, someone on their mobile phone's probably more apt watch video because we're so trained to watch videos on our phone. Are these YouTube videos? Are these animated GIF videos? Is it video support?
Personally, I like the format that we picked for our clients. We try to do so it's very costly, right, to do a video, like to do good content for sure. There's a bit of budget. So both works. Like, the interview format could work, but it can be kind of boring. I like to take people on a journey again to like have all those emotional connection. So we took the way of like hiring illustrators that can like from end to end create the storytelling, the script. Then after, we use whatever platform to buy the voiceover, because like maybe the voiceover needs to be from California or needs to be from New York, and we will make sure that we have those like accurate tone of voice on the video. But one thing that you need to keep in mind with me is like nothing is ever random. There's always like a reason why we do things, and there's a strategy, and that's the reason why. So like if we do for persona that are in California, like the video will be for them with the right tone and everything, and we'll try to be catered to them.
Yeah, it sounds like more kind of like the traditional explainer video, kind of walking people through um, what they're going to experience, which brings up, as we talk about the science and the care aspect, it's all about trust. A big part of online purchasing is, can I trust this vendor? Do they understand my need for fast shipping? Or, do they customer service, if I have to return it, are they going to be there for me? Answering these questions are critical to conversion rates. The About Us page is something that's been brought to the forefront more, telling the story of the brand. And people are recognizing that, hey, this is a powerful page that gets stuffed into the footer. I'm throwing that out to you. Have you seen any, DTC brands do great jobs selling the story?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, even on our own websites, the About Us page is the most visited page after the homepage. And it makes sense because people need to know and see who they're going to work with and who they're going to interact with and who is the team. So, like if you talk to an e-commerce and it's a small e-commerce, I think it's great that you can actually, visualize like the team that I work for. Let's say it's a family business, and make everything more genuine and more local and, more artisanal even, I would say. So like build that trust way faster. If you work for a big corporate, then maybe like, maybe your business has been on the road for 50 years, and like that storytelling always change everything. We work with a really good website development agency called Gladeye, and they're actually really good at storytelling. So when we work together on clients, it's always like a big bang because they bring an amazing customer experience when it comes to the storytelling. We bring the conversions, and it's really like it works very well together.
So as we kind of go through the trust conversation about brands and the care aspect, what are some ways when you work with clients you help kind of build trust for that visitor coming in?
That's a tricky question. That's a very tricky question because I'm the worst at this. I would look at everything. So I would ask them how many people they have in the database, like how many, clients they've been serving the year. Do you feel comfortable telling to your customers like how many packages you send this year, how many products, how many clients are satisfied, how long you've been doing this for? And it's all about building that trust, right? So we need to prove that we're consistent. We need to prove that we're relevant. We need to prove that we will be there for customer service. And I always ask all those questions in the brief process to check if like, what are the USPs of your business and can we find better than what you have already? Because if your business been out for like, it's been 100 years that it's been running, it's a family business. It's really strong in terms of like the DNA of your brand. So I like to play with it.
So having been in this space for 10 plus years, and the last couple of years we've seen the shift with cost rising across the board. People have been shifting into focus with CRO. What's been surprising for you? Like, have you seen a change in your customers And if so, what areas are they actually, focusing in and asking questions that normally they wouldn't?
But the main thing that been disrupting the market a bit for this year was Google Optimize, I feel. For a lot of clients, because it's not everyone like at 40K plus to invest on Optimize or A/B testing like for a license for the year. So a lot of businesses actually were using Google Optimize up to now, and now they have to have a proper budget. So the first questions that have been asked this year, like the top one question is what A/B testing software should I use? And that's been quite interesting to answer because it will come down to your budget and it will come down to the features that you need. But we certified in all of them, like most of the brands on the market, and we work with all the different tools. So it's quite interesting to see as well how this market is moving towards the tools.
What are those kind of top A/B features people are asking about?
There's the one that I recommend, and there's the one that the users like the client. The clients in general don't really know the difference between all the different products.
Mm-hmm.
So they ask me to like break them down for them. So I do that quite often. But mainly what they ask is to be sure that, if they stop one variation, they don't need to stop the whole test, duplicate the test and start again, which happens with some of the tools. Like some of the tools, if you want to stop one of the variation, you actually need to stop your test, duplicate your test, delete that variation, start again, which can be a bit laborious because you lose the data as well from previously.
Yeah, just say, hey, whatever the winner is, run with it.
Yeah. And we saw that happening quite a lot. Another feature is like, can I have something where I don't have any development? Like a software that would cut the development cost. It's always a tricky one because there's always stuff you can do by yourself, but you can do so far, right? At some stage, like it needs to be checked as well by a developer. So I always explain to the client that having a developer is adding a quality layer. And you don't want your website like we when we started the business, we worked for like the biggest supermarkets in some countries. We didn't want to make any mistakes because if anything go wrong over the weekends, I hope that I can enjoy my weekend without stopping the A/B test. So we added that layer of quality to be sure that we have a quality check all the time and we can sleep, no problem. I don't need to look at my phone every 5 minutes and be scared.
Well, it's really incredible the tools available these days, given, 10 years ago, we had to be, when we were a retailer, we were having to write our own stuff and things are so reliable now. I mean, with us focusing on technology so that service providers can actually use them for the client. It's pretty amazing. I mean, but with that, there's so many tools now available that, a lot of digital marketers I speak with, the MarTech stack is so big now, it's starting to get overwhelming. So you start seeing consolidation in the marketplace. But as we look at the customer experience, there's so much opportunity to focus on that customer experience and to be able to scale it out, especially with A/B tests too. Is you can't A/B test everything. How do you also see that? With A/B testing, it's one of those things where it's hard enough for people just to get A live first, let alone go and test B.
Yeah, for sure. To those people in general, like what we've been doing way more this year, A/B testing on emails than we ever did. People understand now that the retention is a real game. We always say that retention is way cheaper than acquisition. But it's only from this year that I can see the shift between like, okay, so Alex, now we understand it. Now we know that we need to A/B test our emails, our nurturing journey. Are we delivering the right message in the right order? Do we need to change our touching points? Are we doing the right surveys? And they've been listening way more to like the verbatim as well. So I think for people that struggle to do a lot of A/B testing because there's a lot of things going on their website, which happens a lot. We have a lot of clients that sometimes have to pause for a few months because, oh, right now I'm so busy. We've been doing only small tests. Like we changed the color of the CTA, we moved the blocks and stuff like that. But that's not really why we're here. We're here to like solve the issue, not to try to put a bandage on it. That's not what I want to do. So for those clients, we actually develop strategies where we work on emails because emails doesn't require big development when it comes to A/B testing. 50% of the database get the version A, 50% get the version B, and then after we just track how it goes.
Do you focus those emails going out? Do you work on mirroring that message on site when they land, whether it be in a dynamic banner based off the campaign coming in?
In what way? Sorry.
So if you send out two emails, A and B, the A crowd coming in can see a reinforcement of that email campaign on the site and say like a banner up top.
Oh, so like I would test completely different messages, different titles, maybe different CTAs, and see who's gonna react the most, where the clicks are, how many clicks I'm getting with version A, how many clicks I'm getting with version B. Are they going to the right area? Like we always use, like, we're very old school, so we use even gas plot, which was the old school way of like, this is point 1, 2, 3, this is where they're gonna watch in the right order. So then we know exactly where the user going to drop his eyes along the journey. And there's nothing random again about it. So we do that on emails as well. One of the tools that we started using a lot was iQuint at the time, because iQuint can tell you what people can see for the first 3 seconds on the page. And we've been using that a lot. Even Nike use it, really big brands use it. It's quite expensive, but it tells you straight away what people will remind from their own, like, what people will go through and what they're going to read for the first 3 seconds landing on the page.
Yeah, I really predict in the next year or two, the understanding the customer journey, but also as we try to do attribution and understand what's happening once they get to the site and what got them there, and then who's engaging with what, and making sure they're getting that right message like you talk about. I think it's the new frontier, in my opinion.
We can see that a lot now. It's like people really care about the storytelling. Storytelling was like about 2-3 years ago that people started focusing on it way more. But I feel like now they start to understand that most companies nailed what the user needs, but they don't understand yet in what order they need it.
Exactly. And that's where the segmentation personalization comes in, is building that model so you can scale out with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're working on. So we'll touch base on that on our 2024 podcast together. How's that?
Okay.
So as we finish up today, and we're moving into, the final days of this holiday season, any final resources available? I noticed you have actually downloaded your CRO breakdown, had some really good stuff on it. Where can any visitors go, or our audience, to learn more about Carl Mission?
Yeah, I would say we have a podcast coming up as well. And we have, like, on the website, we always try to add some stuff like PDF. The PDF will be updated pretty soon. We have some case studies coming as well. The website was quite new. We had to rebrand like at the beginning of the year, because we're part of a bigger group as well. And yeah, so when it comes to Carl, it's we do as well. I do podcast as well with another channel. So if you just type my name on Google, you will basically end up on all the different podcasts that we run. And the more, like, in a few weeks, we will have like at least 1 or 2 a month coming up every month.
Great. All right. So they can find that on Carl Mission. And I see Daisy's on there, that Travis has Wolfie. So
Yeah,
you can connect in SoCal.
you can talk to HR for sure. I don't know if you look at our TikTok, but we've been doing TikTok campaigns, like organic campaigns, since June, because we wanted to try to not go to the ads kind of perspective. And TikTok been working very well for us as well. So it's been very interesting.
Is that your hack tip to end with? Is Daisy your dog like star in that TikTok?
Daisy, I feel like Daisy got some fun, definitely, but it's quite funny. It's no, it's more of a difference of generation between me and younger professionals like Julie. Julie is actually on the TikTok videos as well. And we're having some skits which are quite very organic. So I recommend you have a look. There's a few that are coming about CRO as well. So
Yeah, 30,000 views on some of these. There you go.
it goes to like 4 or 5 millions per, like, for some videos.
Carl Mission at Carl Mission. All right, sweet. We'll check them out. All right, Carl. Carl. Alex, thanks so much. Really, really enjoyed your time today. I hope the audience picked up some tips there. And we'll see you at the end of this holiday season. See you in 2024. How's that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. Thank you
All
so
right,
much
hang
for
in
your
there.
time.
All right, thanks, Carl. Carl.
Cheers.
Got in my head. Wait, where does Carl come from then? Who is Carl?
You should read the About Us page then.
Yeah, let's go to it. While we close out, I'm on carlmission.com and I'm gonna find out the answer to this. But you don't have an about. It's meet us. Is that it? Meet
Yeah,
the
it's meet us for now.
Carl FOMO. Carl, yes, we're actually. Where is it? Where's the breakdown? Welcome to Carlverse. Thank you for being here. Whether you found us on TikTok or not, days ahead of Carl.
I think it's on the homepage a bit lower down.
Let's see. I think I maybe mission control.
After this podcast, Christine will have so much pressure to create more pages.
For Carl. Okay, here we go. CRO in action. I'm trying to find out what Carl means. It must be an acronym.
Yeah, it is an acronym. How do you feel about the brand? Did we rebrand well?
It's very sharp. You guys are futuristic.
It's one of the first thing that I recommend as well to clients. Like, I look at their branding. Is your branding helping you to make more sales or like to build trust? You know.
I'm searching hardcore here. All right.
I feel
Share
bad.
it. What does Carl, what does it stand for?
It means key analytics for revenue lift.
Revenue lift. There it is. It's all about sales and revenue in the
It's more
day.
about revenue at the end of the day, that's for sure. Even if we have the best product on the market.
All right, Alex.
Thank you so much.
All right. Hope you get a good swell down there. Get in the water.
Thank you, Erik.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Cheers.